Welcome back to the LEC post-game lobby as we frantically get these boys some microphones. Welcome, gentlemen. This is a pretty good week to be speaking to you, since you kind of went on a tear and took down two teams that are in the running for playoffs. The generic question would be how are you feeling after the game? But that sounds kind of boring. So instead, Perkz, is it like extra special for you still every time you beat Caps, or is it like not a thing that you think about?
I mean, I definitely prepare for G2 more than for other teams. I think it's a mix of playing against my old teammates and mostly playing against my old club. I don't want to lose to them. And since we got 3-0 last time we faced them, and we lost also the first time, like it's about time that we actually show up, right? So it's more about showing up than like losing, yeah.
Yeah. Does that carry through for you, Alphari? Are there any teams that you like feel a special kind of pressure to beat? Obviously, you don't have the same history with the G2 boys. Is there like, when you see Misfits, do you still want to be Misfits?
No, I don't care about beating Misfits, but it also helps we have beaten them 2-0 this split.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, G2, I suppose a little bit, because I actually really respect Broken Blade as a top laner more than, you know, the other tops in Europe right now.
Yep.
And we also lost against them a fair amount, so it's nice to beat them. I think their top side is really strong. Maybe the bot is like a little bit weaker, but you know, it's a fun challenge playing against them anyway.
Yeah, and obviously it's a super dominant week for you guys, both this game and the game as well yesterday. I'm curious how you feel about consistency as a team. Do you think this is just like one particularly good week of practice that just showed itself on stage, or is this like a big breakthrough and we're now going to see that level of consistency from Vitality, Perkz?
I think we've had like many good weeks of practice, and even like before the split started, I feel like we had good weeks of practice, and I feel like we just haven't been showing up. And now after more good weeks of practice and actually working on specific points and having extra screen blocks, having extra reviews, like getting on the same page, hanging out more together, like all the things, I think makes us just a better team, makes us understand each other more. So I think this is just a upward trajectory that we've been kind of waiting for. And I'm just excited to say that I'm happy to how we performed on stage. You know, I don't think I was happy once, like as happy as I am now, like this whole year, as to how we performed. And I think that's kind of nice, yeah.
I mean, it obviously everyone can see it. You have an out-of-this-world scoreline coming into this game, and it feels like a team effort. And obviously, Alphari, for you yesterday, you had a bit of jungle help, to be fair, but you did also obliterate Finn on the top side of the map, so it's been like clearly a good week for the solo lanes as a whole. Do you think it's fair to call you guys a pretty top-side-focused team as well? I know that Carzzy and LeBrob don't necessarily have the same pedigree as the two of you in a lot of people's eyes. How do you view your team? Because I think everyone has labeled G2, hey, they're the top-side team. You know, we look at their bottom lane sometimes, but maybe not as much. How do you look at Vitality as a team overall? Alphari, yeah, sorry, I'm bad at directing questions. I'm not used to having two guests. It's hard. Normally I have like a cage roll or something.
Right now, I think it just depends on meta. I think we are really flexible. So, you know, just depends on what champs we play. You see Callisto and Ravens get picked from some other teams like Excel and Mad, and they're really good at playing through all lanes, actually. And we have not like shown this yet on stage, but I have full confidence in Carzzy and LeBrob. I think they are really insane, and you know they play all sorts of different champions. They played like Carzzy is like good Draven actually. I don't think he's played it on stage this year, but you know who knows, maybe next week. You got to be careful for it.
Leak those strats or fake leak those strats. I guess we'll find out.
We'll see, right?
But you know, I think our top side synergy is getting there. Is Harry was doing a really good job at playing early game, and it feels pretty easy, pretty simple to play. And yeah, I would say for now we've shown that we have strengths top side. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it, especially when you talk about Haru. Obviously, yesterday it felt like you guys were really on the same page, and it feels like it's becoming a whole team effort as opposed to just some. Obviously, you guys have always been really strong individually in lanes, and it feels like you've been winning your lanes, but bringing it together as a team. One man brought it together slightly more than everyone else, at least in the eyes of the public. Our Kia player of the game, bum bum bum. None other than Perkz. You get the dramatic music sting. You get the Trundle ganks. Yeah, you said it. You said you finally felt like really happy about the performance. Are you more worried about individual performance, or are you more worried about the team performance when you look back, or like when it comes to improving week to week?
I mean, it might sound like cocky, but I don't think I've been worried about my individual performance once this year, besides the first week of Action Vex in Spring Split. That was pretty disasterful. I tried to forget that, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it until now, honestly. I completely deleted it from memory. But yeah, I think I've been performing quite well, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. Sometimes, like, obviously, when my team is playing as insane as last two games, I will look better than even I am, right? So it's like, people don't realize that how well you play as a team reflects on how well an individual player plays as well, right?
Yeah.
Like when we're all playing well together and we're playing as a unit, every single one of us will look much better. But when you have like split calls and we have bad decision making and we are just not on the same page, and we will all look like clowns, you know, because we are just like making stupid mistakes that, oh, I thought you were going to do this. Oh, but I thought you were doing this, you know? So it's about getting on the same page and not making those stupid mistakes.
Yeah. And again, cautiously optimistic that the clown phase is over, where it's just vitality on the rise now. When we talk about
wouldn't be so sure yet.
Yeah, okay, let's one
more week, you know,
one step at a time. I think for most teams, it feels like people are just focusing game to game, but I'm curious for you, Alphari, and for you as well, Perkz. When we look ahead, is it playoffs that you're just focused on right now? Is it LEC titles? Is it top 3 in LEC and getting to Malmo? Is it Worlds? Obviously, there's 4
winning
seeds.
the split, man. Like
winning the split?
Nothing else matters.
Dang.
It's winning every single game. We'd have to make playoffs first. I'm scared.
That's true.
I like the discrepancy there. You're like full in winning the split. Now, Alphari, are you more the guy that's just like, let's take it one step at a time. Let's just try to get to playoffs. Just try to focus on what's in front of us.
Yeah, just every game. You know, I've missed playoffs enough. I don't want it to happen again.
I have to say I was a bit sweating last split. Like I don't think I'm so used to that sweating. I think there was once in 2020 summer I was like sweating almost as hard. We had negative record with G2 at that summer.
Yeah.
Like, we were like 6 and 7. And if like Cups hadn't stolen that Baron against Rogue, like I still remember the game, like maybe it would be like in the gutter, you know, and we wouldn't make playoffs and we wouldn't make Worlds, you know. So it's definitely scary not making playoffs, but I think now we have like kind of like good position to take a bit of a breath, you know, and like slow down a bit, you know. Yeah, that's it.
Well, let's take a look at those standings. Obviously, in general, the ladder is just super close right now. 4th to 8th, incredibly close overall when we pull the standings up on the screen in front of you. BDS mathematically now eliminated from playoffs. Condolences out to the BDS lineup. It was a
It was a good run.
season.
So much potential. God damn.
Whew, I'm just going to take a breath and not respond to that one. Looking at it, I mean, we could talk about who's going to lock playoffs, but I'm more curious as about how you guys feel about your upcoming schedule. You didn't 100% promise me no more clown times, but when it comes to regular season, is the ambition catching up to Mad Lions and getting first? Do you think that's a reasonable expectation, or are you guys just trying to make sure that you can get into top 4 and secure upper bracket in playoffs?
I want to get first. I think Mad is really good early game, but actually, I think we can beat them if we don't get shit on like in first 5 minutes of the game. But yeah, I think top 2 is obviously nice, right? I don't know what Barney wants. Maybe he wants like good to go top 6 and then we have the lower bracket run, but I'm not sure, right?
I mean, considering before this weekend, what we were 6-5 and now we are like 8-5 and suddenly top 2 is potential. I just still want to win every game, and you know, I'm just grateful that we went 2-0 this weekend.
You can tell which of the two of you has missed playoffs before. I think it's safe to say you're like already looking so far ahead. I mean, I respect it. And this is the nature of best of one, right? It's just that right now you guys are on top of the world. You have an 0-2 week, it instantly kind of all collapses. Not that I'm trying to condemn you or cast or curse you quite yet, but it is the struggle, I feel like, for this overall. Let's take a look at the Kia Player of the Game leaderboard, because while the standings are a mess, Kia Pogs, very clear. Perkz, Niski, 5 wins.
How is Niski there, by the way? Like,
How's Perkz there? What the hell?
How is Niski there, actually?
I don't know. It just says Perkz and Niski with 5. I haven't seen it, so I'm not entirely
so OP
sure.
to be like French. Like if I was like born French, like it would be much easier to get fans.
He's a Belgian, but
I know. Yeah, but he gets the French fans. I know. Yeah, I know.
So you're saying, like, I think the OP strategy is to learn French and/or come from the LFL.
I will learn French, German, and Spanish, and then I'll
take
your fan
the
votes.
Thanos Infinity Gauntlet of regional vote bias.
It's true, yeah.
There it is. Well, you're doing well on your own. You're 5, winning out overall. Alphari, when you look at like your team's performance, I don't know how you guys feel about player of the games. Do you feel it's like always pretty clear on your side? Not like for fan votes or whatever. This is always going to be a bit of a mixture. But is it always easy to tell who was the most valuable player game to game? Like if you guys had to award a Kia Pog for, let's say, this last game, do you know really clearly in your head who you think like had like the best, most outstanding performance?
Not really, no. I don't really think about it, but I mean, Perkz was really good this game, but I also wasn't watching how Caps died early, right? So maybe it was just like a huge jungle difference, and then Perkz from top lane, and then he took over the game. But I mean, my mid laner came top, so I would give it to Perkz pretty easily. But again, I don't know if that was jungle diff or support diff or mid diff, but it's a team diff, yeah.
Matchup diff?
Yeah.
You feeling good? You feel like you finally like the Talia no longer an issue? You guys are bam gonna shut it down every time.
I mean, I think Ari is just actually good against Talia. And even yesterday when I played the matchup from Talia's side, it was actually hard for me to like do something early game, right? Having said that, I think Talia is still a very strong champ, and like obviously you can do Talia things when you get like 2 items and some levels.
Yeah.
But the early game of Talia is like not actually that OP, right?
I mean, yeah, I think that we've seen that, but it's cool to finally see people finally beating it because, again, it was like, I think coming into your game was 10-1, maybe 10-2. I mean, the win rate is absolutely out of this world. Speaking of top lane, though, I think it's really interesting. We've seen a ton of Gnar, and we have not seen that many of like the conventional Gnar counter picks. People talk about like the Camille's, the Aurelias. Either you saw this game, we've seen Jax's come out. Like internationally, these are the things that people talk about when they talk about Gnar counter picks. Broken Blade obviously brought out the Aurelia this time. What is your opinion, Barney, on talking about Gnar, on talking about Violet counter picks? Why don't we see more of the, let's say, aggressive counter pick options into Gnar?
I mean, the problem is that these conventional counters actually aren't as, traditional counters as they used to be anymore since the durability patch, like, I don't know, a while ago. So Gnar safer in lane. He's always been a pretty safe laner to begin with, but now he's even safer against these picks. And it's also the jungle meta, where you have champions like Trundle, Poppy, who just absolutely destroy a lot of carries. Like you try playing Camille into a Poppy jungle or a Talia mid lane. Doesn't matter if you have a good matchup. If you're equal CS and there's a Poppy on enemy team, doesn't matter if you're playing Camille. He's going to press W. You're not going to have the team fight. So I think it's a mixture of the durability update, making a lot of the carry top lane is just worse, strictly in lane, and then jungle being kind of a little bit broken.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's safe to say, given how the Poppy performances we've seen this week, but we do still see some of these picks internationally. So is it just a matter of the jungle meta, or do you think that, because I mean, I'm seeing LPL top laners pull out the Jax like it's blind pickable. So I'm wondering, why is there this discrepancy? Is it a skill thing? Is it an EU preference thing? What's the difference there?
I was asking you the same question. I was literally asking the same question like yesterday. Like, why is LPL playing so much Jax? Why like, what does he hit faster, harder? I don't get it,
He does indeed hit faster. LPL Jax is just, it does more damage. I don't understand it either, but it's just a rule. So until I go to play in China, I can't play Jax either.
Okay, look, I'll take it because we don't have time to get into like all the nitty gritties of skill levels. LPL Jax just does more damage. You heard it here first. Balance it a little bit better. Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule. Now it's going to be interesting, obviously, next week and then into the Super Week. Bit of a mess, you guys. BDS next week. They're mathematically eliminated from playoffs, but maybe that unleashes them. Barney, earlier you mentioned so much wasted potential. Do you think they have the potential to upset you? Is that on the table, buddy?
Don't set it up for them. Don't set it up for them.
I mean,
Luca, use the microphone.
They have the potential to upset us. I'm not, underestimate any team, but realistically, they should not beat us. Yeah, I think they are pretty... They look pretty tragic, honestly, would be the word to describe them. Just pure tragedy.
Dang. All right. I mean, yeah, it's been
I concur, yeah.
It's a brutal season for BDS. It has not been great. We'll see what they can do. Maybe they upset you. Maybe they surprise us. Obviously, G2 Excel, Rogue Mad Lions, the big top of the table matchups, could potentially affect anything else coming. Who do you feel like, you guys, you said, Luca, we're going for first. Alphari, you said we're fighting every single game. Let's just get into playoffs one step at a time. But if we had to... Get ready to make some, Reddit headline quotes. If we have to rate teams right now, top 3, top 4, where do you see yourselves? Who do you think is the number 1 team right now in EU? Who do you think is around them?
I think you have to say Mad is number 1. Yeah. And after that, honestly, I don't even know who else is good. Maybe we are good, but I don't know. Just based on one weekend, I'm not sure. I would like to think so, but we have shown that we are inconsistent in other weeks. So I think, a couple more weeks of good performances, and then I can say that we're good.
Just in time for best of 5.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. I think Mad, playing number 1, and every other team is, in the middle somewhere.
And I like it. I mean, it makes it very hard to plan any content for playoffs, makes it hard to know which teams are going to lock, but it does make for a very compelling league. We'll see, obviously, who can dethrone some of these teams in the weeks to come. Also... I bet against your team winning against G2, which I have apologized for. I could make excuses, but, I thought the plot armor was thick enough. But what that meant, and you may not have watched the analyst test this week, is that it meant that I bet 3 party hats to Caedrel's 1 party hat. So Cadril won. He then immediately left and also stole my host, hence me being here. So if we could get the picture up of him assembling the Exodia of party hats. Or you can just let me hang here like a psycho because neither of these guys have heard anything about this, which they still don't know anything about this.
I don't even know what I'm watching,
so,
honestly.
Week 6, when the games are like hard to sell stakes on, we have a little bit of fun. We played charades this weekend. You guys, we could have had a great time. Maybe we should have played charades with you guys too. So Cadril won all the games. He is now the Party Hat King. And yeah, I guess I now have to embarrass myself in front of you fine gentlemen to explain this whole thing. So there you go. There's Cadril, Party Hat King, legendary analyst, full of party hats. There it is. You boys have any questions? Is anything not clear about the Party Hat King?
I'll just ignore it, honestly. I don't even understand what's going on. So
I think that's the right call, Perkz.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. It would only make my life more difficult. Thank you again for joining us. I hope that the clown times are done, that we get to see you guys rise the next weeks, because it would be really good to have some stability in this league past the Mad Lions heading into playoffs. But if you want to run it down, all I ask is that you pick something interesting. Otherwise, thank you again for joining me. Thank you at home for watching. We'll be back on Friday with Week 7 of the LEC. Have a good night. Woo!